finding your extra 10%. This is my advice whenever someone starts here at Tag or just in general is find out what your role needs from you, find out what your manager needs from you, your coworkers, your team members need from you, and finding that extra 10%, the icing on top. How can you help them make their day 10% easier? How can you take on 10% more than you did yesterday? How can you solve a problem 10% faster than you did the day before? And that extra 10% is really 200%, and that's what makes you a tryhard. And there's nothing at fault, in my opinion, of being a tryhard.
Welcome to the Point with Jeff Spikes, the show about achieving goals, embracing growth, and finding your true path. And now, here's your host, Jeff Spikes.
Welcome to The Point with your host, Jeff Spikes. And you have an exciting day ahead of you in listening because it's the first episode where there's a guest for you to be entertained by other than just whatever stories come to the front in The Point, in the world of The Point. So today we have Jordan Fortner joining us. You can say hi.
Hi.
Jordan is this your first podcast?
This is.
So this is a first-time podcast. We are at the headquarters for Tag Inc., and Tag is historically was known as the Audit Group, which is still the website, theauditgroup.com. And they're a client, and they are also someone that I've developed products for to work with their clients, which are basically coaching products, but they're also products that drive awareness and teamwork, and they're designed to help pull everyone's ideas together and formulate whatever the team wants, along with what their objectives are as a company or an organization, and get everyone aligned and create really fast growth. It's identity-based, and it is powerful, impactful, and fun, most of all, right?
Yeah.
So Jordan got to experience some of that with Tag because while deploying in the field with for Tag's clients and helping with some executive leadership, we were asked to come to Tag and do the same thing here and help turn Tag and scale the company and create these products that would be very pointed towards improving healthcare and helping the healthcare organizations that Tag supports reach their goals. So that's enough blah-de-blah to get us through to Jordan. Jordan impressed me. Jordan, how old are you?
I am 22.
So Jordan was 21, I think, when I met him. And had you had another significant job before?
I had not. This is my first.
So out of college and a lot of other types of jobs and working, he comes here, and I was immediately impressed, as a lot of people here were, that you have a great attitude, and you were willing to learn. You were willing to take on anything. You got along quickly with everyone. You integrated very well, and you were able to take instruction. And even in an unclear or environment where there was a lot of uncertainty, you were able to make do without pointing out negative, and by making the most of it, right? You were really good at making the best of it. So that really impressed me. Now, I'm just going to tell a quick story that I think is fun, that'll be fun for you to hear. And, the story was Jordan had experienced 1 year at Tag and was here and had brought in 24 donuts to share, or something like that, large boxes of donuts to share with everyone as part of his celebration of working here. And I have a relationship with donuts that is one to better stay away from or eat them all, an all or nothing type of relationship I have with donuts. And we were joking about that, and out of honor of him, and I decided that I would have a donut, and I'd have part of a donut. So we got knives, and I cut a donut and probably ate a donut's worth of parts of donuts. Maybe a donut and a half.
Yeah.
But disciplined myself nonetheless not to hide out with a box in the corner, which I am still to this day very proud of. But anyway, Jordan, I was so impressed with the idea that you would go out and make the effort to buy something for everyone else on your anniversary. And again, another thing that just caught my attention. And we've worked around each other and with each other for the past year plus now. But here's the thing. I don't know if I would have gotten the story out of you if I didn't pry, right? And I was like, okay, Schnooks, why? Being the donut person I am, I'm like, okay, so what's special about these donuts? There wasn't Dunkin' Donuts. It was where did these come from, and why did you choose these donuts? Is there a reason? And what was your answer?
Right. So about a year ago when I started, this was my first job straight out of college, and I didn't have a vehicle at the time. And so I would make the trip after work to go to Schnucks, and I hang out at Schnucks until my dad could pick me up. Love my dad. Dad's great.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to make sure this is really clear. Schnucks is a grocery chain if you're not from Missouri or the Midwest.
Yeah.
And you confidently looked at me and said, I know it's a grocery store, but I happen to think that Schnucks makes a really good donut.
Yeah.
Right? So at first you were strong on your presentation that it may not be a specialty donut shop, but these are really good donuts.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool that you were like, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
But now go ahead and keep going. I want to interrupt again.
So, so I was vehicleless. My dad would give me. Love my dad. That's great. And I would make the trip over to Schnucks, a couple blocks away. And it's because I could spend the time here. But when I started, I was not in the position I am now. And I did not enjoy my time here as much as I do now. Now I'm part of a great team. I have so many things going on. So many things happen around me. There's so many opportunities to learn. And so I would make the trip to Schnucks, and I'd sit there and wait in the deli until my dad could get me. And I tried their chicken, but I always found myself wanting a donut after work. I love donuts just like you. And so the experience of when I started to where I am now, bringing in donuts and bringing that full circle to now I'm part of a team. And I brought stuff in because I love the tag team. And that's why.
That's cool. So I was immediately grabbed. And Mario, that works with you in the same room, he and I looked at each other, and there was this experience of us both looking at you and being, man, that was really deep. Like the way you shared that, when I first got here, I didn't want to spend any more time here than I had to.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down to Schnucks and waited for my dad there instead of waiting here. And then you were so quick to say, I wasn't as happy about my job then as I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So something's improved since you started, that's moved you into a position of enjoying your job. But I was captured by this idea of what a great opportunity it is to talk about what it's like to not like your job. How did you survive in that environment? And so let's just start there. Like, how did you impress everyone and do well in an environment where you weren't happy?
I think for me, it really came down to what do the people around me need and expect. So there's the part of your job expectations, and then we talk about, meeting expectations or trying to exceed others' expectations. And about myself, I'm a little bit of a tryhard. And so I'll find the other places where I could help other people. And I started getting more fulfillment out of what I could do for others than just what my job entailed. And I always did what my job needed. I did what my manager needed from me, and I maintained there. But I always find little ways to help someone else. And eventually someone realized, you're pretty good at this one niche. What if you focused on that for a month? And I focused on that. And then it became, okay, you're pretty good at project management. Can we move you into a role where you're project manager? You're pretty good at developing the frameworks for how we sell products or how we help maintain products, how we perform service as a tag. Can we move you into something there? And so it just became, finding the people who had the opportunities and the means to open doors and walking into doors with other people.
That's fantastic. I heard you say, I'm a little bit of a try-hard.
I am.
Describe that to me. What does that mean to you? If you looked at someone else and said, man, they're a try-hard, what's that mean to you?
Finding your extra 10%. This is my advice whenever someone starts here at TAG or just in general is find out what your role needs from you. Find out what your manager needs from you, your coworkers, your team members need from you, and finding that extra 10%, the icing on top. How can you help them make their day 10% easier? How can you take on 10% more than you did yesterday? How can you solve a problem 10% faster than you did the day before? And that extra 10% is really 200%. And that's what makes you a tryhard. And there's nothing at fault, in my opinion, of being a tryhard, right?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. It goes along with the sense of personal ownership. It's powerful. The way you described it particularly reminds me when I was at Starbucks years ago, we were training managers and shift supervisors. And one of the things I used to bring into the training sessions was a story of everyone's probably been into a Starbucks. And if you haven't, any fast-paced food service type company where you just have tons more customers than you do time, and you're really trying to go fast to get people the food or the drink that they want. If you're behind the counter of a Starbucks, you're already working really hard. So there was that extra few percent. It's, do you take a break and stop and take a breath and just talk? Or do you take a break and wipe down the side of a trash can? Now, I don't mean a break where you take your apron off and go out into the lobby or the cafe and sit, and that's a break. I mean, there's a lull in the action, and you've got a minute to breathe, and everyone can talk. Do you take the time to bend over and wipe down the outside of a trash can? Do you wipe down a wall? What is it? If you take that extra effort and do those basic cleaning tasks of just wiping things down at the end of a rush when it's fresh, when you have a minute to breathe, it's exponentially growing and positive for you, because at the end of the day, you're not any more tired if you did that than if you didn't, because you already worked hard and you're already going to be potentially tired at the end of your shift. As a matter of fact, we rolled this and did some very loose studies on it and found that everyone was less tired when they took the extra time to make the effort to do extra tasks while they were in a lull than when they were just stopping and chatting and not doing anything. So doing the extra work and the few extra things, that 10%, that 1%, that 3%, whatever it is of extra effort went a long way. And then here's what happens. If you don't do that, things get dirtier, they build up. It's harder to clean later as a project. It doesn't get done as much. And the environment slowly gets dirtier, messier, less organized, because some of that's just reorganizing things. Eventually, you're in a juggernaut or a bottleneck, of something getting worse. And then someone comes in from a manager, a boss, a supervisor, an owner, whatever. District manager comes in and sees things in disrepair or disarray even, and you're not getting the pats on the back. Whereas if you're constantly putting in that extra effort, it's easier, things are cleaner, things are better. There's nothing that can tear down the good time and the good feeling. You're protecting yourself from losing any ground from someone else's perception because they don't know that it was just a mad rush. So there's this perpetual positive that gets created when we put that as a try hard. So I don't know. I'll put it out to you to give me feedback in the DMs. Give us some feedback on what you think about the phrase or word try hard. And is that something that we should carry forward in the show and talk about? Here at TAG, we talk about one of the missions or visions, the vision statements for how we're going to achieve the mission is be better. It's everyone here. If you work at TAG, you want to be better. So the idea of being 1% better every day or 10% better in every task is a constant thing. And if you're not going to be happy here if you're not in that mindset,
right?
Because it's easy to fall back and think about all the things that need to be done. And then it's a grind, right? So anyway, I carry on here and want to go ahead and shift, but what was your first impression of TAG?
My first impression of TAG was great. I mean, I came in, there was a lot of really smart people doing something. And I really did not understand exactly what we were doing and how helpful we were being until like 3 months ago. 3 months ago, we had an internal summit. 3 or 4 months ago, we had an internal summit, and we had all of our project managers at the time sitting around talking about what we were doing and how we were accomplishing it for clients, how we were recovering money, how we were recovering funds, how we were using the data to help them better. And that's when it really clicked for me, what we were doing and how we were doing it. So when I first came in, there was a lot of really smart people doing something, and everyone was so passionate. And I was like, I got to figure out how I fit into this cog of this machine, right? And I think the initial spot where my gear was placed, if you think about those toys that give babies and the gears, and they all spin off of each other, you can put in a different spot, and now more gears are turning.
Right.
For me, that's what happened. I was moved, I was helped, and more things started spinning around. I think just for me and for Tag.
Nice. So when in your training, we introduce you to strength. So one of the things that we do for Tag is Tag has been a strengths-based company. Also used some Blanchard products, SL2 and Disc for many years now. When I stepped into place to take over the leadership of that and driving the results of that as part of my part here. And in everyone's first week, they're given the Clifton Strengths Assessment from Gallup. Had you ever been exposed to anything like that before?
I had not, no.
Walking into the door here, and when you were looking for a job, what did you consider your strengths to be, the best assets you have?
At the time, I think it was my creativity and my goal-driven attitude, to achieve something, to want to do something, yeah.
And in the assessment, achiever was number one, right?
Yes.
So when you got the results to your assessment, what was your first impression?
So I think I have to take a step back. So when I was doing the assessment, when I was taking the assessment, I was worried that it was a bit too cookie cutter, right? I've heard of these things before and they all seem so simple. But when I got the results and I really looked at them and as I took time to understand them, I was blown away by how me they felt. It didn't just tell me that I was an achiever and my second was futuristic and I looked for the individual within everyone. But when it starts breaking those down into how those are impacted in your life,
right,
I really felt like this was a really good picture of me and I could better understand myself and how I work well with the team.
So really, really positive thoughts. How did that change your perspective and help you approach your job at the time?
Yeah, so at the time, my number one is achiever and my number two is futuristic. So I like to see a positive future and the steps on how to get there. And I wasn't putting enough of a focus on myself on the steps to achieving something. I was just like, I want to do blank. I want to help someone do blank. And now I start breaking things down into more steps so I can feel like an achiever all the way through. So that's how, that's one of the biggest
strategy.
ways. Yeah.
Did that help you deal with the times that you weren't as happy as well? Or how did that play in as far as the strategy used to survive when you weren't feeling happy?
Yeah. So if I go back to what I was talking about, seeing the doors and trying to help the other people. I realized how much I enjoyed that. And so that was that number two, thinking into the future of I want to be more helpful to this person. I want to be more helpful to this person and achieving what they needed me to help with, right? Taking on the little tasks, trying to take on that extra 10% from them. And that's what helped me through that is helping other people in the organization outside of the initial team that I was on and trying to find my cog there. So wanting to achieve things for the company and for myself and seeing the future where that could be and realizing where I could fit in as an individual and where other individuals would need me to help.
Has it helped you to understand other people's strengths as well?
Recently, very much, yeah.
Nice. What's been the biggest impact there?
I think the biggest impact for me is one of the things Gallup does is they actually point out where I'm an achiever. And so to other people, I might seem way too goal-oriented. And so I might just seem like my only focus is to get things done. And so one of the biggest things is it actually helps you understand points about yourself that you might not realize because you don't see yourself as a third person. You see yourself through the first person. And Gallup can help put in perspective that third person aspect of yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great insight. So what's been the biggest source of inspiration to you in how you found your zone, so to speak, of what you do here at TAG?
My biggest inspiration of how I hit the zone here at TAG. I would have to say it's my dad. A little cliche, but it really, really is. He's very goal-oriented. He's always known where he wanted to go, and he's only recently had the opportunity to get to that point. And he doesn't just give up because there's a rock in the road. You keep trucking. And so I started here, and I kept trucking, and then eventually I found mentors here that helped understand what my strengths were and where I could best be suited, and I've been helped move into those spots. So just the unwavering desire to achieve things has helped me from him, and seeing how he didn't give up even when times got hard. And going here, and I did, like we've already talked about, I did not enjoy my time here when I started.
Right.
And so getting through that,
yeah, that's awesome. And it's really been a pleasure to work with you and to be a part of the training process and the coaching process with the strengths. Has all been really awesome. What's the most exciting part of that for you? Right? Why don't you tell everyone what you do here? What is your impact here?
Right. So I'm an associate product manager here at TAG, and I'm helping facilitate the rollout of some of our new Beyond Recovery services as we focus less and less on just recovering dollars, and we want to be more helpful to these health systems. And we want to be more data-driven, finding the insights within the data and helping our clients be better. That's what makes me excited, is finding new ways to help our clients be better in ways I didn't understand we could help them.
You can't make this stuff up, but everyone, you've got to see how he lights up when this happens, right? Asking you what you do, and when you start to really express what it is, your entire demeanor changes, even from talking about his dad, right? From talking about his dad, that he's really proud of his relationship there and how that's affected him. Was there anywhere along the lines that you realized that Clifton Strengths wasn't just a tool that TAG uses, but it was a gift they were giving you for your life's development? When that clicked for you, was there a difference? Did anything mean? Was there a process for you around that? We didn't rehearse this either. That could fall totally flat.
I would say that I started realizing how helpful it was when I started thinking about how other people's strengths can help me understand the first person of them. So just like the strengths can help me see the third person of myself, I can start trying to envision what someone's life looks like through their own strengths. And so even in my personal life, I've started thinking about what other people's strengths might be and seeing how my strengths can mirror theirs, or, maybe we're a little brittle at times, or maybe we work together just great. And I really think that I started realizing how connected that was towards the end of last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you're a strengths coach, or if you're a coach at all and you've used strengths, something that's really valuable, if you're a company using strengths, this is really helpful. This will be really helpful for you. When you're working with someone that's new to it, make sure they know how to log into the system, do the training video and the programs that are available to them. I always coach people to allow that to be a prerequisite to meet with senior leadership, so that that they've done what they can for themselves first. And anyone in leadership can help an individual find those resources or point them in the right direction. But make it a thing that make it a prerequisite that if you're going to spend your time meeting with somebody, that they've done those things. The value there is that also you help them use their own personal email so that they get a clear message. It gets imprinted quickly that this is not just a tool that we're using as a company. It's an investment in you working for us. Like it's an investment of TAG into you that you get to take with you from here into your life, not just to use here professionally.
Right.
Have you used it for any of your bios or anything outside of work or anywhere else, or is it so far just been work?
I have not made it physically known, like in a bio or anything other than outside of work, but it is something I plan on adding to my LinkedIn. Yes.
And we're going to have you'll have a class to go to soon, where we take the talents, which are the sentences within the themes, right? So there's themes. So achievers, the theme, futuristic is the theme. And then in that, all the different sentences are the talents that, should you exercise those talents, become skills and also then become really well-honed strengths. And there's a difference between having a strength and using it all the time and not really understanding the impact of it. It's just the best of you.
Right.
Being just battering the world with the best of you, to really honing it and understanding how to ebb and flow it to be highly successful at getting things done, knowing when to use it in different ways, right? There's a major difference there. Just the idea of being an achiever and then creating a list of things so you can feel that more often is a nuance you might not have found otherwise. There's many, many more of those within that. But one of the classes that is just so much fun to do is to help people take those sentences and turn them into first person. So we're going to do this for your LinkedIn bio, or any bio. You know, you might need your bio in for some of the product development that you're working on, especially if there's training involved.
Right.
And, you know, take those and turn those into, you take 3 or 4 of those sentences and break them all down and turn them into one statement of fact of what you bring to the team, right? A sense of direction and understanding of how things affect us down the road, or, you know, whatever, however that turns out. But so that's something you have to look forward to. What's something you would say to somebody that is new to the marketplace, new to the workforce, like you were a year plus ago, that doesn't know really anything about strengths, but is looking for a job and hoping for a career? What's something you'd say to them?
I think the idea of strength is that it's you, and you need to figure out what makes you you. And so just as the themes are themes about yourself, and whether or not you've done strengths in the past or not, you just need to figure out what makes you you. Like, I knew that I wanted to achieve things when I got here. I knew that I liked being part of a team. I knew I liked learning things. That's one of my top 5 too. And I knew these things about myself even before I had strengths, but they just helped me build on them. And so thinking about what makes you you and figuring out what you believe you bring, and just an unwavering desire to achieve and to do things and to find your 10% is going to go all the difference.
Love that. Bring an unwavering desire. So what I heard out of that, the way I reorganize words in my mind, is bring an unwavering desire to be the best version of you, because no one can do it better than you. That's what I heard you say in a nutshell. I love it. It's great advice. You know, there's 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, and more. There's people of all ages that are working in positions or jobs or placements where they're not happy.
Yes.
And, you know, another gift is learning how to choose happiness in any environment.
Right.
And it appeared that that's something that you were doing. You just did that by going to Schnucks instead of hanging out here.
Right.
But you found a way to be happy in the role that you were in, so that you could work it out and work the strategies you had to achieve what you wanted. And it worked.
It did.
That was awesome. So what do you look forward to next in your development and with TAG?
My biggest goal is to become a better project manager and to help our health systems do better, be better.
If there's something any one thing that you would change out there, what would it be? Magic wand time.
The division, the walls between each other. You know, we talk about communication barriers. Just interpersonally, or in the workplace, or in the health systems, people not getting along, less division. That would be my magic wand.
That's amazing. You heard it here at The Point. Jordan Fortner dropping some hard wisdom. Serious, man, on, you know, narrowing that wall of division between others, and how to show up, right? All right, now what's the phrase? What's the phrase that came out of it? A try hard.
Try hard attitude.
Have a try hard attitude. Man, it's a pleasure. It's great. I love that you're working here. We'll close it out with that. If you have any specific questions for Jordan or myself, put it in the DM of wherever you're listening or watching this. And I always get back to people. Love the conversations. if you want more guests and more experiences from engagements that I'm in with clients, or even people you'd like to get to know better or hear better that you know of out there, let me know. Now have the capacity, we've proven it, to have a guest on the point, and we'll see how well this rolls out. Give us your feedback. We love it. It feeds the show and feeds our content and feeds the topics that we're going to bring forward. Jordan, thank you for being here. Thank you for your authenticity and relaxing with me in this. It's really been a pleasure.
It's been an honor. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Peace out.
Jeff
Peace.
Spikes, the show about achieving goals, embracing growth, and finding your true path.